Supreme Court temporarily bailing Joe Biden out and possibly postponing a huge catastrophe at the border. Moments ago, Chief Justice John Roberts blocking the Biden administration from ending Title 42, which is expected to lapse in 2 days. That happening as the Democratic mayor of El Paso, Texas, forced to declare a state of emergency as illegals flood into his city. Video shows extreme overcrowding at a migrant processing center. 500 people are packed into a pod that was only meant to hold 100, and there's only one bathroom. And those are just the lucky ones. Outside are dozens of migrants sleeping on the streets in freezing temps. Right now, Border Patrol is overwhelmed with a few thousand daily crossings. Right on cue, Biden's media cheerleaders say it's all the Republicans' fault. So Dana Perino, Joe gets bailed out by the Supreme Court. Are you surprised by that or not?
Well, I don't know if they're actually going to get bailed out in the end. And I think that there's been some confusion on this. First of all, Title 42 is just one of the tools that they can use in order to tell migrants, no, you have to turn back. And that was because President Trump, during COVID, said, here's another thing that we can do to help protect our country and make sure that people don't come in that might have coronavirus. Those were in the early days. The Biden administration has continued to use that to try to get the numbers down at the border. However, the Biden administration also wanted to do the opposite of anything President Trump did on immigration. So they said they wanted to end Title 42. The states were saying, no, this is something that this is actually working for you. You shouldn't want to end it. They've continued to try to do that. And now the courts have said, OK, fine, you're going to end it. The states today filed a case, an appeal to the Supreme Court and said, please don't let the White House do this. Please don't let them do this. And all that happened today is the Supreme Court said, we're going to give another 24 hours for the White House to reply to this emergency request, and then we'll see if they argue it on the merits. So it's not completely dead. This doesn't actually end until midnight on Wednesday night, so there's a little bit of a reprieve. I don't know what the White House will do. I don't know what they'll do. If they're consistent with their position over the past 2 years, Katie can correct me if I'm wrong because she knows this issue better than anyone, they will continue to say we want to lift Title 42.
Well, let's see what the media is doing. Greg, take a look at this.
I shall.
You talk about the border wall, you talk about open borders. I don't think I've ever heard President Biden say, we have an open border, come on over. But people I have heard say it are you, are former President Trump, or Ron DeSantis.
It was known from the time that Joe Biden got elected that Joe Biden supported open borders. Whether or not the Biden administration is going to enforce the immigration laws or not is known across the world, but most importantly, known among the cartels.
Greg, have you ever seen video of the migrants crossing the border getting interviewed by Griff Jenkins and saying, thank you, Governor Abbott?
Yeah, but it is it's so interesting when you do see people in the media who you can tell exactly what they read, what they don't read. She has no clue what's going on. There's so much documentation of what's going on, and she's in her own little bubble. I can't wait for Corinne Jean-Pierre's response. You like that, America? You can have that. Even Harold laughed at it. Really, Harold, you shouldn't. That's really Corinne Jean-Pierre. Look, I would love to know, I think it was Katie, what is the policy? I want to know what the media and the mainstream media and the Democrats actually feel about the border situation. Because do they actually know how they feel, or do they only wait until the other side says something? For example, if one side says the border isn't secure, they will say, no, the border is secure. Mm-hmm. But then when you show them that it isn't, they'll say, well, that's good because we need more workers. We're not pumping out the kids. We got to have more people come here. So what's it going to be? Is the border secure, or and it's not, it's a bad thing? This is the same thing, what did I write down here, that happens with inflation. Remember inflation? Mm-hmm. It was like, there's no inflation. But then we show, well, there's inflation. They go, well, inflation's good. Yeah. So it's like the tendency is to deny the bad news or shift the blame to somebody else. And then when you present them with irrefutable evidence, they say, well, yes, it's great. So either the problem doesn't exist or it does exist and you love it. You can't have both.
Did Raddatz actually go to the border, or did she just sit down with the governor and then fly back to New York?
I'm not sure what her full coverage was, Jesse, so I'm not going to say maybe if she did go to the border
Just
to see what was
Katie.
happening. I'm not going to speculate, no. But I do find it interesting that now all of a sudden the media is interested in this story when there are other outlets, including Fox and Town Hall, have been covering this for years, but especially with this catastrophe of this new crisis that has reached levels that we haven't seen before. From the White House perspective, Karine Jean-Pierre was arguing today at the briefing that, look, the White House is doing lots of different things, and Joe Biden has always tried to stop this problem. We've asked for billions of dollars in new resources, and if Republicans don't want to approve it, then they're part of the problem. They're actually helping the traffickers. Well, $1 billion is worthless if you're just continuing to manage this problem, which they're doing, by just opening up new processing facilities. It's like having a leak in your roof and putting out a bucket. And instead of fixing the leak, you just move the bucket when it's full and you put another bucket in. And you keep doing that, and all of a sudden you have this crisis where you can't fix it. And until the White House calls for Congress to pass some kind of asylum reform, because that's the reason why you're seeing thousands and thousands of people, including 84,000 people, as Bill Malugin pointed out, in the past 4 months dropped off in El Paso, run by a Democratic mayor who's been talking to the White House about changing something. You have the New York City mayor saying we can't sustain this with all these people coming. 84,000 people is more people than my hometown in 4 months.
Katie,
coming in.
Can I write a headline for you? Pavlich compares human beings to rainwater.
It's just about the processing and the fact that they're not stopping the problem.
That's how the media covers it.
Yes, you're right.
They question your humanity.
Right.
Yeah, well, they stuff people into, you know, buckets and all kinds of stuff in their processing centers with one bathroom.
Where's AOC, Harold?
I don't know.
Why isn't she in a white pantsuit crying somewhere?
I don't know. We'll deal with that in 1 second. So Title 42 for 1 sec. We had not used Title 42 as a country. President Trump used it in 2020. You can use it. It's a public health civil rights law, but you can really use it to help keep communicable diseases out of the country. So it had not been used since 1929 when we were trying to keep a certain meningitis had broken out in Asia, and we didn't want our ports to have to accept goods from countries in Asia. The President Trump used it for the right purpose. So a judge decided that Title 42 we were not using it for the right purposes after things have subsided with COVID.
Use it or lose it, you're saying.
So in Louisiana, it was a Louisiana judge that said, look, this is, Title 42 should be used. Another judge says it should not be used. And the administration, I think Dana is centered on the right political point here. The administration is going to have a decision to make here. They can't hide behind this. They're going to have to come out as the Chief Justice has asked them to do. And I hope they come out on the side of continuing to invoke Title 42, because I'm not convinced that the communicable disease issue has subsided to the point that they have now. The governors who've done this, they're not as worried about COVID. I've watched some of the governors on our own network earlier, and they're more worried about the fact that we don't have a viable, serious, credible immigration policy. If I were Republicans in Congress and whomever they decide to elect the speaker, the first thing they should do after they investigate everybody, but simultaneously, is to put forward an immigration plan, a border security plan. I will support you if it's reasonable, if it's fair. And I think you're going to find a lot of Democrats, including the great Henry Cuellar, who's going to want to do that as well. Because you need both of these things. Because even if the court says Title 42 should remain, we still have a border challenge, and we'll continue to have a border challenge until someone acts. And I hope Republicans, if they believe as strongly as they do about border security, force Democrats in the Senate to work with you, and force President Biden to either sign something or veto something. The country needs you guys to be serious on this.
Harold, how do you feel about Title 41?
Let me look that up.
Yeah, I'll save you some time. It's the federal statutes regarding public contracts in the United States. Just thought I'd keep you up to track there.
What, do you know Title 43?
Yeah, Title 43. Didn't we just talk about that?
Title 42.
Title 43 is the government consumption of corn.
I agree with that one, too.
Some people...
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.